Welcome once again to Living in the 21st Century. Joining me today is Domingo Dominguez, City Councilor at Large for Salem, Massachusetts, who just finished fighting a well-heated contested campaign for state representative. And also is Monique McNee, Vice President for Socioeconomic Development Foundation of Boston. I want to welcome you both to the show. And first, I want to say to you, Dominguez, is that you just fought a heated, contested campaign for a state representative. Things didn't work out, but the door for mayor is still open, and you're still city council at large. And putting that aside, there's a lot of things going on in your community, like opioids, homelessness, suicidal. All these things are going on in the Latino community, and because of that, it's also a problem with not having documents as legal immigrants in this country. These are the problems that they are faced with today. What is your plans for the future and your intentions to rectify some of these problems?
Well, first of all, let me thank you, Errol, for having me here. This is a great opportunity. I just mentioned, I just finished my campaign, my intention to become the state representative representing Salem. Unfortunately, I don't have the victory as many people and my family including, wanted to be. But I still be the city councilor, and I still being a voice, strong voice for the people that I represent. I feel very proud and honored to continue to serve the great city of Salem. And the most importantly, the most needed one, those who have a voice. You mentioned topics that are very close to me, that are personal to me. And I had to tell you that during this campaign, I had the opportunity to refresh that really issues that we have in our communities that affect the most vulnerable one, brown and black community, which are the most vulnerable everywhere we go, but in particular here in Massachusetts and in Salem, because that's the place that I represent.
Right. You know, one thing I would love to ask, and this is not to force any decisions on you. The reality is that in a campaign that you've just been through, the iron is still hot. Your name is still out there as the man, so to speak. And your community is strongly dependent on you for results. Would you think it may be possible in the future that you may tend to run for mayor? Would you give that any form of consideration?
For me, I think it's a little bit too early to think about it. I do whatever my people ask me to do. I'm a servant. And I think even though we lost the bid to become a state rep, that doesn't mean that we're out of the picture. I think that our message is being already delivered. And I also believe that our people need a representation. And if that's the choice of the people, I take nothing out of the question. But in a personal level, like I mentioned to many of my friends, still too early to call. I'm taking a break right now. I'm taking a break for this race. It was a very intense race, which I think we put everything we have, like always. And like I said, we feel very proud of what we accomplished, not only me as a person, but the whole team, in which I respect and admire. I have a group of people behind me that feel the same as I am. And I think it's all depends on what we decided to do in the future. And I never say no. I learned to say that from day one. As you might know, I ran 4 times before I got elected as a city councilor at large. So to me, this is not new. This is just a step back to formulate the next battle. How we're gonna battle, how we're gonna do it, when we're gonna do it, and in what position we're gonna do. It's depending on the people, and depending on time. It's depending on God will. And we never say no to that. So just to answer your question is simply, it's too early for me to give you a definite answer on this situation. But thank you so much. Great question.
Okay, great. This question goes to Monique. Monique, you work very close with Domingo Dominguez, and we understood the importance of dealing with critical matters right now in your community. The opioids overdose and Latinos, not just Latinos, but other people committing suicide, the homelessness. Is there any detailed strategic plans that you may bring before Dominguez that he should pay critical attention to right now at this point?
I think Domingo was, really spot on. He's a vibrant advocate in our community. I think he, really has a conceptual understanding of what are the needs of the people, what are the needs of his constituents. He's very close with everyone here in his community. So I think that he really had a great idea of the needs that we were in hope for or in need of the people, which, you touched upon that, which would be the opioid pandemic right now. We know that there's a lot of mental health issues and the accessibility, clinicians and, being able to reach out for mental health services is something that, is impacting so many people across the Commonwealth. And of course, everything that was part of his slogan, everything that he stood for, everything that was his platform is a dire need of the people, which would be affordable housing, which would be, senior care and help for our senior citizens and affordable housing for them. And, just really, he's just did such a dynamic job. And I'm very, very proud and honored to be a part of the Domingo Dominguez campaign and a part of that team. And I know that we have so many great things. Our future is great. And I look forward to the endeavors in the future.
Excellent. One thing I want to look at critically is DACA. President Trump, when he was in power, he had done a lot to disturb the privileges that DACA had extended to immigrants in this country, undocumented immigrants in this country. Since he came into power, he had put all barricades in place to prohibit DACA from maintaining its integrity in which it once stood for, which resulted that Latinos who were here and even other nationals who were here that could have worked in this country under that same system and go to school and earn and make a proper living for their families, these privileges had somewhat strayed away. Now tell me something. Since the Biden administration came into play, is there any difference at this point? I
do believe that there is a difference, and I think for some reason we can see in Donald Trump and some of his administration a very wrong policies in regard to the new immigrants. We have to understand that this is a country that is made up of immigrants.
Yes,
we came from different background, different nationality. One came early, the other one came later. We are the new immigrants, the Latino, and we contribute so much to this well-being of this country. Denying the right to those young people is denying the opportunity to the United States to continue to grow, especially when it comes to education and professionalism. We see a great amount of youth who wanted to fulfill their dream and who wanted to be able to be professional, not only to make their own living, but also to continue to contribute to this great nation. So why not bring or have a path for those youth who wanted to do good? I mean, it's not, it's the opposite of what we see in some other maybe youth who might wrongly doing wrong with their life. This is a group of young people who wanted to fulfill their dream by having education. I know that it's a cause maybe some some political capital, some money, or whatever you call. But I think those youth, in some of the cases, many of them came to the United States at very early age. They are part of the United States. They just need to have a legal status to be able to continue their dreams. So let's pass a reform. Let's do something. Let's help those people so we can continue to advance. So in my understanding, I think that's wrong. It's not about political party. I think we have to understand that human necessity do not have any political affiliation. When you have a need, when you have issues that affect the life of so many, you have to put the party outside and try to see it as a human need. That happened in the past with so many other communities. Now it's time for the Latino community to receive that type of help.
Excellent. We will notice that in the past, or right now in the present, that Texas is sending busloads of immigrants to New York City. They believe that they should not be entertaining illegal immigrants. They should not be entertaining undocumented workers. Now, we are living in a nation that are very separated from each other. What I mean by that is that there's a total division. Hard left, hard right. And in the result of this, it's costing the privileges that extended to undocumented workers to go unattended, which resulting in that these same workers are now taking their own lives. They're not able to go and get, for example, COVID. They can get vaccines, even though there are some mayors and some governors say that, oh, they are welcome to get vaccines in our state. But yet still, when you have to go and present a social security number or some form of registration where you live, there's none to give. So how can you legally register to get access to a vaccine? Should there be some form of privileges extended to these people that, even though they are not documented, rather than saying, well, you can go and get a vaccine, we entitle you are privileged to go and get a vaccine? It's far, far from the truth. They don't get the vaccine. What legal parameters that you would like to see put in place that can protect undocumented workers or immigrants in this country, rather?
Is the question directly to me? I think I have to repeat you and everyone who's watching this great show that this is a land of opportunities. This is an immigration, it's an immigrant community that is not only pertaining to one group. And there are some humans necessities that need to be attended. What I like to see from the beginning is a immigration reform. And I know that's at the federal level. I think something needs to happen because those new immigrants that are here. I mean, there's no, we don't want to see anything other than that. So we need to face it. We need to help. This is a human necessity. When it's come to health, if we don't take care of our brothers and sisters who live next to us, who are here with us, there's no way that the pandemic is going to be stopped. I mean, this is a healthy and safety issue that needs to be addressed. So I want to see something at the state level and federal level to be passed to make sure that we really attend those necessities. What it is, I don't have the magic bullet, but I know that there's a lot of political resources, a lot of resources in this country that can be put into there. And I know that my sounds for some that, well, we already pay our share. We work and contribute to the Social Security and tax base of this country to make sure that everybody, live fairly. And then the newcomers just came here to try to use some of the resources that we have, which is right. I mean, I'm not take that away. I'm one of them. I'm working hard myself. I don't want to see myself succeed, but I think love is love. I don't think that love have any name in any shape or form. If you really love your neighbor, like you say, that you are the land of opportunity, that you are the land that are based on love and protecting others people's rights. Let's protect the most valuable and more important rights that human beings have: the right to live, the right to at least have a treatment, so that any situation in health aspect can be attended. So, as a city councilor at large, which I'm one of many here in Salem, my voice always been in resonating with the people that have the need. And I think it doesn't matter. For example, we just finished a campaign very aggressively. Those people that do not really recognize that I might be the candidate, that they don't vote for me, if I represent them anyway. And if there's any need, I want to be there. It doesn't matter what other people think. It's a human need. It is human. You politics is politics. I mean, this is over. I'm a city councilor alive for everyone. I love everyone. I don't feel good losing my bid to become a state rep, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and we need to love one another. Love one another no matter what.
Great.
And if I could just speak
Sure.
Briefly on that, Mr. Arrow, is thank you so much for bringing this up, because I think a lot of times people don't really stop and think about the suffering. I mean, we all suffered during this pandemic.
Yes.
There was a lot of deficiencies that were highlighted during this pandemic. And there was a lot of inadequacies or inequalities that was brought to the forefront during this pandemic. But a lot of people forgot to think about those, as you mentioned, who are undocumented, and that they was not able to take benefit to the stimulus packages or the unemployment, or some of those benefits that were guaranteed to Americans, registered, documented in Americans. And we kind of forgot about, as Domingo said, our sisters and our brothers, and, not really thinking about the suffering that they endured. And I think that it's important that we don't undermine their contribution to this country, to our community, to our nation. And as we see now, there's a huge shortage in workers, and we don't stop to ever think, well, gee, those were the people who were undocumented, who would gratefully and thankfully go to work every day and contribute to our economy and contribute to the flow of our society. And I think that it's important that we remember that, and remember that this is about humility, and it's about that, like Domingo said, they are here. And it's about what can we do to uplift them, and not to forget about them, because they are us and we are one. And I think that it's really important for average day Americans who go about their lives to stop and to think about those people who were cut off from any type of supply or any type of aid during the most pandemonium time that this country has really ever seen. And I thank you for bringing that to the forefront and reminding people of what's really happening.
Great. I want to ask you this question. Considering that America is totally divided, it's no maybes or buts. We are a divided nation. And because of the corruption in democracy, would you holistically say that America is still a democratic nation, or part dictatorial and part democratic?
In my own opinion, I think it's a matter of continue to fight to maintain the traditional fundamental, what made this country big. And I understand that the division is there. The United States of America is have two sides. It's more deeply, and I think the gap is bigger and bigger. But the hope we have to maintain, especially we as I'm coming from a minority. I think that we need to continue to work to make sure that the gap can be closer and closer. How can we start it? I think that we need to start by our own group, our own communities. There is no division between brown and black. And I know that's part of the division they wanted to create. We are one. Doesn't matter what we think, doesn't matter how we look, doesn't matter what, we are one. We are one. And if we come together, we're going to continue to fight, defending the fundamental of this country, this great country, the land of opportunity. There is no way that we can let, the division to be bigger among us. We need to continue to work together until the last minute. So that's my own opinion.
Okay. 4 years.
And I agree with that.
Sure.
I agree with that, Mr. I definitely agree with that. If we unite, Black, Brown, all of us unite, we would be even more powerful, because our struggle is really one and the same. And I think a lot of times people, are kind of sideswiped by, the political affiliation or, oh, well, I'm not Spanish, I'm Black, or it doesn't, we're all one and the same. Our struggle is one and the same. Our voices are all one and the same. And if we could come together to unite our communities, unite our voices and our mission and our purpose, we can't go nothing but up. There's no way, no place for us to go but is up, and to be more stronger and to be boisterous as a people.
Well, I agree with you 100%. But unfortunately, when you have leaders from Congress, the Senate, you name it, at the highest order of this nation, promoting before the simple-minded its ignorance and bringing about chaos to the country, and they're believing it, there's no unity in that. The unity should stem from the leaders. Those are the ones to promote unity. We had 4 years of chaos and confusion. It's still prolonging up to this moment. And there are those who diehard folks believe that Donald Trump is a saint and he is the rightful heir to the throne, so to speak. He should have been the one in power. And this still prolongs in the Republican Party. There are those who can't speak up for some reason. They believe that if they speak against Donald Trump, the ability to have support of the public is going to fade. Their jobs are being threatened. And this is a problem. I believe strongly that there should be some educational format established across this nation that is relevant to the circumstances that exist during the Trump times. He had brought about a dark shadow over the nation of confusion. We have, or some politician, some smart one has to come up with a policy to educate this nation as to what's really going on. What's your take on that?
You that directly asking me? Oh, you go ahead and.
I'm asking earlier, Monique.
Monique.
I definitely agree that there has to be. It seems like there was just this big delusion that a lot of Republicans, especially Trump supporters, because let's be clear, I know a lot of Republicans who are not Trump supporters and was horrified of what they endured for the past 4 years. They were horrified and embarrassed to say that this was my affiliation and this was my party. So let's be clear, those who are in support of Trump's ideologies, it's kind of like they're brainwashed. It's kind of like they're in their own bubble, and they're very disillusioned from the truth. And it's so sad and so frightening to know that a person in the position of power could have really said such lies and directed people in such a way that was so far from the truth and based on such hate. And I definitely agree with you. There needs to be some type of educational platform or maybe some on reprogramming. I'm not sure what you would call it, but there definitely needs to be something, because it's frightening that these people are really believing these lies and believing that, the election was stolen, and believing, just all the crap that he put out there, all this propaganda and all this just lies.
Well, yes. It goes deeper than that, because not only had he put out a lot of lights. It resonated in the minds of a lot of the Republican base. And far from that, a lot of Republican states went beyond their means to make sure they put policies and systems in place to prohibit democracy from flowing, to prohibit people from voting freely. Even if you have to give out a glass of water, it could end you up in jail or a fine. These are serious issues.
These lies allowed our own people, Americans, to commit treason, to invade our state capitol building and to commit violence. So yes, you're right. These lies went beyond just lies. This rallied up, the white supremacist groups and allow them to believe that they have the right to storm into our capitol building, our U.S. capitol building, and cause havoc on the most sacred place where democracy is created. So you're right. It goes beyond that.
Well, Domingo Dominguez, we're coming up in the last minute and a half. So I leave you to make the closing statement on what would be your plans going forward and how best you can have your input on some of these matters.
I think that you say perfectly right. Both of you have the right comments on what we've seen. It is a matter of we continue to work together, unite, and make sure that we address the issue on local, state, and federal level. One thing that I learned is that we cannot control the federal because we in the local, we need to make sure that we work from the spectrum that we are right now at the local level to local level.